From world events to Washington and New York City, here's your concise world update for Monday, February 9th. Talks between the United States and Iran over Tehran's nuclear program ended Friday in Oman without a breakthrough, but also without acrimony or escalation, and both sides signaled that negotiations would continue. Netanyahu is concerned the United States could pursue a narrow nuclear agreement that leaves aside other Israeli priorities as he moved up a planned visit to Washington and is now expected to meet Donald Trump on Wednesday to discuss negotiations with Iran. Venezuelan authorities said on Sunday they are seeking court approval to place prominent opposition politician Juan Pablo Guanepa under house arrest just hours after he was seized by heavily armed men in Caracas, an episode his son and allies described as a kidnapping. China critic and former media tycoon Jimmy Lai was sentenced Monday to 20 years in prison, the harshest punishment imposed so far under the China-imposed national security law that has largely extinguished public dissent in the city. A man suspected of opening fire on police was fatally shot early Sunday during a confrontation with officers in Fall River, Massachusetts. 2 officers were wounded in the exchange, though their injuries were not life-threatening. The administration of Donald Trump can continue to detain immigrants without offering bond hearings, a federal appeals court ruled Friday, handing the White House a significant legal victory and reversing a wave of lower court decisions that had found the practice unlawful. Luigi Mangione is set to stand trial on June 8th on state charges, accusing him of fatally shooting a health insurance executive on a Midtown Manhattan sidewalk. An Ohio man has been charged with threatening to kill J.D. Vance during the vice president's visit to his home state last month, though the man's lawyer argues that his client's health makes it unlikely he could have carried out the threat.
No, I absolutely would expect that it's going to shut down.
With a Friday deadline looming to fund the Department of Homeland Security, Democrats and Republicans showed little sign Sunday of breaking a stalemate that is increasingly pointing toward a partial shutdown. The Federal Communications Commission has opened an investigation into whether ABC's daytime talk show, The View, violated federal equal time rules after the program featured a Democratic candidate in the Texas Senate race this week. Governors' offices were informed Friday that a White House meeting traditionally held during the National Governors Association's annual winter gathering will be limited this year to Republican governors, breaking with a long-standing bipartisan practice. New York City endured some of its coldest weather in years over the weekend, with temperatures dipping below those recorded in parts of Antarctica, as dangerous winds swept across the Northeast and New England. The administration of Donald Trump on Sunday appealed a court order requiring the U.S. Department of Transportation to unfreeze federal funding for the roughly $16 billion Hudson Tunnel project. The progressive New York Working Families Party avoided endorsing either Hochul or Delgado by nominating placeholder candidates for both governor and controller. Spot gold prices climbed on Monday, holding above the $5,000 pounce mark as a weaker U.S. dollar and a busy week of economic data refocused investor attention on the outlook for interest rates. The sharp sell-off that rippled through software stocks last week, dragging down big tech, private credit, and even parts of the corporate bond market, gave way to a dramatic rebound. But few investors are convinced the turbulence is over. From the Middle East to Wall Street, you're up to date.